Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed an equal or greater benefit. Most people say they want success, but very few are willing to confront what success actually demands of them. They admire the results, the freedom, the recognition, the wealth, but they recoil from the process. They celebrate the visible victories while ignoring the invisible sacrifices. And this is the first brutal truth no one wants to accept. Success is not designed to be comfortable, fair, or emotionally convenient. It is designed to transform you, and transformation is violent to the old version of who you are. The world has made success look like a reward you receive. In reality, success is a responsibility you grow into. It is not something you stumble upon by accident, nor something granted to those with good intentions. It is claimed by those who are willing to think differently, act deliberately, and persist long after enthusiasm has faded. Most people never fail at success. They quit on the person they were required to become. From an early age, we are taught to conform, to fit in, to seek approval, to follow predictable paths. We are trained to value security over growth and comfort over curiosity. And then, later in life, we are told to be successful without ever being taught how to break free from the mental conditioning that keeps us average. This contradiction silently destroys ambition. People want extraordinary results while maintaining ordinary thinking. And the universe never negotiates that way. Every meaningful achievement begins in the mind, but not in the way most people think. It does not begin with positive thinking or motivational slogans. It begins with a decision so firm that doubt has no authority over it. A decision that reorganizes priorities, habits, and identity. This is why the majority remain stuck. They confuse wishing with deciding. They hope, they dream, they talk, but they never decide. And without decision, the mind has no direction, no focus, no power. Napoleon Hill observed this pattern repeatedly while studying the world's most successful individuals. He saw that success was not correlated with background, education, or even talent, but with definiteness of purpose. Those who achieved greatness knew exactly what they wanted, why they wanted it, and were willing to pay the price in advance. They did not negotiate with their excuses. They did not wait for consensus. They moved with quiet certainty, while others waited for reassurance. Clarity is rare because it demands honesty. To be clear about what you want, you must first admit what you are dissatisfied with. And most people avoid that admission because it threatens their sense of identity. They would rather tolerate quiet frustration than confront the discomfort of change. They lower their expectations, rationalize their stagnation, and call it realism. But realism, in most cases, is simply fear wearing a respectable mask. Belief is the engine of success, but belief is not blind faith. It is conviction born from repetition, discipline, and internal alignment. You do not believe something because it is true. It becomes true because you believe it strongly enough to act on it consistently. The mind is a powerful instrument, but it must be tuned. Left unattended, it absorbs doubt, limitation, and fear from the environment. And most people never realize they are thinking thoughts that were never consciously chosen. This is another brutal truth. Your results are not a reflection of your potential. They are a reflection of your standards. What you tolerate becomes your normal. What you excuse becomes your pattern. And what you repeat becomes your destiny. Success demands a ruthless audit of your inner world. The stories you tell yourself, the habits you protect, the comforts you refuse to release. Until those change, nothing else will. History offers no shortage of examples. Thomas Edison was ridiculed as slow and unteachable before he illuminated the world. Henry Ford was dismissed as naive and reckless before he revolutionized industry. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination before he created an empire built on dreams. None of these men were spared failure. They were forged by it. They treated setbacks not as verdicts, but as feedback. And this is where most people break. They personalize resistance instead of interpreting it. The path to success is narrow because it requires independence of thought. You must be willing to stand alone in your vision long before others understand it. You must be willing to work without applause, to persist without validation, to continue when the only thing you have is your word to yourself. The majority crave external confirmation. The successful generate internal certainty. Discipline is a language of self-respect. It is not harshness, It is alignment. It is the daily expression of who you believe yourself to be. People often say they lack motivation, when in truth they lack structure. Motivation is emotional and fleeting. Structure is rational and reliable. Success is built on systems, not moods. And systems demand consistency, a trait most people admire but few embody. Action is a great clarifier. You do not think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. Every action taken in alignment with your purpose strengthens belief. Every avoided action feeds doubt. This is why procrastination is so dangerous. It creates the illusion of safety while quietly eroding self-trust. Over time, people stop believing in themselves not because they failed, but because they never followed through. There is also a price to success that no one likes to discuss: separation. As you grow, your priorities change. Conversations that once felt engaging begin to feel shallow. Environments that once felt comfortable begin to feel restrictive. This is not arrogance. It is evolution. And many abandon their growth because they fear being misunderstood. They choose belonging over becoming. And that choice always has a cost. Purpose is what sustains you when the novelty fades. Without purpose, success becomes empty and effort becomes exhausting. Purpose gives suffering meaning. It turns sacrifice into strategy. It transforms hardship into refinement. Those who lack purpose burn out quickly because they have no reason to endure discomfort. Those with purpose become resilient because they understand the why behind the struggle. Gratitude grounds ambition. It keeps you anchored while you climb. It reminds you that success is not a destination, but a process of becoming. The ungrateful are never satisfied. The grateful are never stagnant. Gratitude expands perception, and perception determines opportunity. You do not see more because you have more. You have more because you see more. Adaptability is essential because the world does not stand still. What worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. Those who cling to identity instead of principle eventually break. The successful remain flexible in approach while remaining firm in vision. They adjust without ego. They learn without defensiveness. They understand that growth requires constant recalibration. Resilience is built through voluntary struggle. When you choose challenges, you control their shape. When you avoid challenges, life chooses them for you. Every obstacle contains instruction. Every delay carries a lesson. But only those who remain present and reflective extract wisdom from adversity. Others simply accumulate scars and call experience. Learning is the lifelong companion of success. The moment you believe you have arrived, you begin to decline. The most accomplished individuals remain students. They read, observe, experiment, and refine. They seek mentors not to be saved, but to be sharpened. They understand that mastery is never finished. It is practiced daily. And here is perhaps the most uncomfortable truth of all. Success is not owed to you. It is not guaranteed by effort alone. It responds to alignment between thought, emotion, and action. It rewards those who are willing to become responsible for their inner world. Blame dissolves power. Ownership creates it. Most people will never succeed at the level they desire because they refuse to let go of who they have been. They want new results with old identities. They want change without discomfort. They want growth without friction. But life does not work that way. Every new level demands a new self. And now you stand at a quiet threshold, not marked by noise or drama, but by awareness. Because once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. You can no longer claim ignorance. You can no longer pretend it is out of your hands. The question is no longer whether success is possible. The question is whether you are willing to accept the cost of becoming successful. And that cost is not paid in money. It is paid in discipline, courage, clarity, and persistence. The next step is always internal. Before any external result changes, something inside you must harden, clarify, and mature. Success does not begin with strategy or opportunity. It begins with identity. Who you believe yourself to be quietly dictates what you attempt, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from. And this is another truth most people resist. You will never consistently outperform your self-image. You may have moments of progress, flashes of momentum, short bursts of discipline, but you will always return to the level of identity you accept as normal. Most people carry an internal ceiling they never question. A hidden limit shaped by past failures, inherited beliefs, social conditioning, and unchallenged assumptions. They say they want more, but they unconsciously believe more is not for them. And the mind will always obey what it believes to be true. It does not argue, it executes. This is why success feels unnatural at first. Growth feels like tension. Discipline feels like resistance. New standards feel uncomfortable. You are not just learning new behaviors. You are violating old agreements you made with yourself. Agreements to stay small, to stay safe, to stay acceptable. And breaking those agreements creates internal friction. The weak interpret that friction as a sign to stop. The strong recognize it as evidence of change. Self-mastery is the foundation of all lasting success. Not control over others, not domination of circumstances. Control over your reactions, impulses, and focus. The ability to direct your attention deliberately in a world designed to fragment it. The ability to delay gratification when temptation is immediate. The ability to remain steady when emotions fluctuate. This is power, and it is rare. Most people are ruled by moods. They act when they feel like it and retreat when they do not. They confuse emotional states with truth. But emotions are temporary signals, not reliable leaders. If you wait to feel ready, confident, or inspired, you will wait forever. Those who succeed learn to move independently of mood. They act from principle, not feeling. Your environment constantly negotiates your standards downward. Convenience whispers. Distraction seduces. Comfort reassures. And slowly, without vigilance, ambition dulls. This is why rituals matter. Daily disciplines that anchor you when motivation disappears. Structure is not restrictive. It is protective. It shields your future from your present impulses. Vision without execution is fantasy. Execution without vision is exhaustion. Success demands both. You must see clearly where you are going, and you must be willing to take unglamorous steps to get there. The majority want the outcome without the repetition. They want the reward without the routine. But greatness is built in the mundane, in the days that look ordinary, in the choices no one applauds. History remembers results, not effort. The world does not reward intention. It responds to impact. This is why responsibility is so central to success. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing, your power returns. Ownership is not heavy. It is freeing. It places the future back in your hands. There will be moments when progress feels invisible, when effort seems disconnected from outcome, when doubt grows louder than belief. These moments are tests of allegiance. Will you remain loyal to the vision when evidence is absent? Will you continue when momentum slows? Most people quit here, not because they cannot succeed, but because they misinterpret the silence as failure. Silence is often preparation. Success unfolds in layers. What you achieve externally must be supported internally. Money without discipline collapses. Recognition without identity fractures. Growth without grounding destabilizes. This is why so many rise quickly and fall just as fast. They build outcomes without building themselves. Character is a container that holds success. Integrity, patience, emotional regulation, the ability to endure boredom, pressure, and uncertainty without self-sabotage. These traits are not glamorous, but they are decisive, and they are cultivated, not gifted. There is also a solitude that accompanies ambition, a quiet distance between you and the crowd, not because you are better, but because you are committed to something different. This solitude can feel uncomfortable. It can feel lonely, but it is temporary, and it is necessary. You cannot hear your own voice while constantly absorbing the noise of others. Comparison is a subtle form of self-betrayal. It shifts your focus from your path to someone else's timeline. It replaces gratitude with resentment and clarity with confusion. The only comparison that matters is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Anything else is distraction. Success is cumulative. It compounds through small, repeated acts of discipline, through consistency that seems insignificant in the moment but becomes unstoppable over time. Most people underestimate what can be built through patience. They abandon the process too early because they are addicted to immediacy. But those who understand time as an ally, not an enemy, eventually separate themselves from the masses. Fear will evolve as you grow. Early on, it fears failure. Later, it fears success, visibility, responsibility, impact. Each level introduces a new internal negotiation. And each time, the question remains the same. Will you act in alignment with your purpose or retreat to what is familiar? The world rewards decisiveness, not recklessness, but commitment, the ability to choose a direction and move without constant second-guessing. Indecision drains energy. Decision concentrates it, and concentrated energy changes outcomes. Success is not about intensity. It is about endurance, about showing up when excitement fades, about honoring commitments made in moments of clarity, about continuing long enough for effort to compound into mastery. And mastery is quiet. It does not announce itself. It is evident in calm execution, in precision, in restraint, in knowing when to act and when to wait. The most powerful individuals do not rush. They move deliberately, guided by clarity rather than urgency. Eventually, if you persist, something shifts, not suddenly, but unmistakably. Your standard becomes automatic. Your discipline becomes identity. Your confidence becomes grounded. You no longer seek permission. You no longer need validation. You operate from alignment. At that point, success is no longer something you chase. It is something you express. And this is a final truth few ever reach. Success is not about proving anything to the world. It is about becoming congruent with your highest values. When who you are aligns with what you do, and what you do aligns with what you believe, resistance dissolves. Effort becomes meaningful. Progress becomes inevitable. Most people will never accept this truth because it removes excuses. It demands responsibility. It requires patience. It insists on growth. But if you are willing, truly willing, to pay the internal cost, the external rewards will follow in ways that feel almost secondary. Not because success is easy, but because you become strong. And once you become that person, there is no going back.